Groundnut is one of the widely grown grain legumes in Malawi. The crop has potential to contribute to food and income security, but farmer yields are well below 1 ton per hectare. The low yields are due to a number of factors, such as excessively low plant populations due to overly wide ridges, delayed planting seed that has been recycled for many years, and poor soil fertility in fields where groundnuts are usually grown. But for the first time in many years, farmers from Mbawa irrigation scheme, located in the Makolija village under the traditional authority Njema in Mulanje, are harvesting their irrigated groundnuts. Many families cultivating groundnuts have for the last seasons realized the crop has a high economic value which can fetch a high price on local markets as well as improved family nutrition. But the situation was not like this years prior to 2018, even after a World Vision and Njema area program constructed this particular Mbawa irrigation scheme, which it had duly handed over to members of the community in this area.
When we started dealing with the farmer in 2018, the farmers were a bit reluctant to adopt the irrigation farming way. A few of them were serious into it, but then a large group of the farmers were a bit lagging behind because the scheme has a membership of 473. And during the time we started, you could see gaps within the scheme. Very few farmers were involved in irrigation farming in the serious way. So we identified some gaps during that time that the farmers might be willing, but maybe they don't have the knowledge on how best they can utilize the scheme, and they didn't even have the knowledge that they can benefit from the scheme and survive just the way they are doing in doing other businesses. So we did capacity buildings for the farmers. The farmers were trained in empowered worldview just to challenge their mindset that they can do a lot of things through farming. So farmers were taken through empowered worldview. And then we thought maybe just fuel is not enough to empower the farmers to do farming seriously. So we arranged that farmers should be taken for a training visit. We have an irrigation scheme built by World Vision in Mwanza and Neno, and those farmers are doing wonders. So we thought of taking them to their fellow farmers so that they can learn how farmers are arranged, how they are doing farming seriously. So farmers were taking there. Coming back from the learning visit, we saw change.
Mama Luce Sankani says the visit to Chifide irrigation scheme in Neno challenged them to fully utilize God's given natural riches such as water from their rivers, fertile soils in their scheme, and good weather in their area to start high-value crops instead of always growing maize. She tells me through the proceeds realized from the sale of groundnuts, she has been able to procure 2 bicycles, one for her daughter who uses it when going to school and the other one for household use.
Mbuyo mose mutimakhala sizimapezeka kuti munthu amapezeka ndi kanyumba kamalata kapena kugula kanyinga kapalasa kapena kugula konjinga ya moto. Timangoziwa kuti anthu ndi mmene amakhalira basi kumangozunzika ndi njala. Koma kusiyanika kulipo munga kudera lino. Ndipo tinena pano monga ngati kwa ineyo munda mukuonawo ndi wanteza omwe tikukumba pano. Komanso mtezawu titangoyamba kulima ulimi wa mtezawu. Ndikuona ngati phindu limene ndapeza ine.
Peter Chisale Sikia is the chairperson of Mbawa irrigation scheme here in Mulanje. At this material day of filming in January 2023, he had harvested 50 bags of fresh groundnuts which had already been bought. And some members of the scheme were helping to load all bags in a nearby truck which had come to collect groundnuts. He said much more groundnuts had not been yet harvested.
Nteza basi. Nteza ndi chuma chokhazikika. Kumene kuli amalawi anzanga. Kumene mukuona kuti kuli madimba abwino. Ena ansathu amene mwamangiridwa amaskimu. Tiye tigwiriseni chinthu ichi chopambana kwambiri. Maze tisasewerese. Tangu yeserani ulimi wa nteza ndi kudzala ndi kuthirira. Muona nokhaso muzasiyanisa simuzalimaso chimangaya. ulimi wa nteza ndi odalirika, umatenga myezi yochepa komanso umazala umozi koma pokolo au makolola awambiri umene oti umakuitanira ndrama. Monga chaka chino tinene zona ulimi wa nteza ineyo ndipindula, ndipo poyerekeza muzaka zonse chaka chino nchopambana. Chiyembekezo chilipo ndithu 5,020,000 yochokera ku ulimi wa nteza.
The Agricultural Extension Development Coordinator for Milonde Extension Planning Area, whose jurisdiction is Mbawa Irrigation Scheme, says farmers from Njema have realized and witnessed the power of knowledge sharing. He says most of the households and families have taken farming as a business, which is a departure from the usual farming practice they used to do.
Extension is about changing mindset of our farmers. So we brought about farming of groundnuts to that community, to change them, to change their thinking, so that they can take groundnuts as a crop, just as maize they used to plant. So this groundnuts is helping them in changing their livelihood. In terms, it is providing them with household food, security, as well as income. So groundnuts is also one of the crops that is being adopted by our farmers in the EPA.
We have seen how people have changed.
World Vision Malawi Director of Programs, Charles Chimombo, says the main thrust of the organization programming is to achieve transformational development. Chimombo adds that the interventions as World Vision focus on the hard-to-reach areas where at many times poverty levels are very critical, a situation that, if not dealt with, would affect the well-being of children.
We do our macro assessment and we map out the whole country where are the most vulnerable children. And if we identify a particular district, within the district we also map out all the areas in that district, and then we find out where the most vulnerable children are. And that is why we found ourselves working in Njema. It's very far away indeed from the Boma. The idea behind the irrigation is the fact that we are working to improve livelihoods as well as food security for the communities that we support. We know that health is very important, but also food is very, very important. In Malawi, agriculture is a very important aspect of our life. And because of the erratic rains and also the change of climate, sometimes people do not get lots of yields for the labor that they put into the farm. So we have started working on an alternative to that, and then we are establishing irrigation schemes. We have over 50 irrigation schemes in Malawi, and this one is just one of them, which mostly they are growing groundnuts. So it's a way of helping people to have food throughout the year and also use the surplus to provide well for their children when they sell their produce.
About 80% of Malawians depend on the farm, but unfortunately, low agricultural productivity, poor access to agriculture extension messaging, improved farm inputs, low access to markets and financial services, and poor natural resource management lead to lower yields.
In 2018, the first year when we started irrigation farming after construction, the farmers got 42 million less. That money coming from 473 farmers benefiting from this irrigation scheme. And looking at the potential land that we have, it's 80 hectares. So 80 hectares, 473 farmers getting 42 million less. We thought that they are not maximizing their potential. So after the learning visit, which took place in 2019, in 2019 they got 50 million below. So when we took them to a learning visit, the 2020 we saw change in their revenue. First of all, because farmers adopted profitable value chains, because here there's a tendency of cultivating maize, producing maize. Almost each and every scheme in this area, they are mostly into maize production. So seeing their friends engaging in different value chains, they came back here, adopted some profitable value chains, and that helped them to increase their revenue. And by 2020, farmers were able to get 79 million from this scheme. And we still we're not satisfied with that figure because it's a big scheme, and we started analyzing how best we can help the farmers to still maximize their potential. So in 2021, we engaged farmers to the point that by the end of the irrigation season, the farmers were able to get 115 million. Yeah, so at least we are moving forward with the engagements we are doing, the capacity building, the support we are giving to the farmers, the mentorship with our government partners. It has really helped the farmers to move forward.
In order to assist vulnerable families produce enough food to meet their children's nutrition needs, World Vision has at many times partnered with the government of Malawi with an aim of improving families' access to food and resilience in the face of emergencies.
When we are talking about mindset change, I think as World Vision, we are operationalizing the whole concept of mindset change. It's not just a lip service. It is what we are seeing in our communities. And we have a lot of examples, including what we are seeing here in Mbawa irrigation, to demonstrate that mindset change, which in World Vision we call it empowered worldview, is real and can work, can make a difference in people's lives. And if many people could embrace this, most communities would embrace this, and then in the long run, we would see that our country would be changing from poverty to wealth.
World Vision Malawi has been implementing relief, development, and advocacy interventions in Malawi since 1982. World Vision Malawi aims at making a measurable contribution in improving the well-being of millions of boys and girls directly and impacting millions of the lives indirectly.